Hello and welcome, folks. We are here for the first of many episodes where you're just going to listen to me. This is Dan Rockwell, aka Floozy Speak, talking to you from Big Kitty Labs, the corporate headquarters. Well, one of our many corporate offices here in the Central Ohio area. And we're doing a new thing. We're doing a couple new things, actually, but I was doing these for clients, actually. I do these walkthrough storyboards, which is kind of fun. Mostly because I used to do this a long time ago. And I had tested out a new camera because I was working on this cool rig, and here it is. I thought we should talk about a couple cool things that I read about today or stuff that's on my brain. So it kind of appears in my little notes up here, right? So what do we have? We have Amazon trademarks. There's a little piece about Amazon's various trademarks. They're trademarking a lot of stuff lately. And then the US 33 Super Road thing. There's been some questions on the Slack groups about, what is that? Why is that a big deal? Why do we care about it? And then I liked the story today about OSU's BandAid. That was a project I saw at OSU years ago, and it's now coming to reality, which is finally cool. And then Apple's next move. All kind of cool things to think about. Now, I'm just going to draw in general in relation to the stuff. It may or may not actually be coherently understandable, but we're just talking. It's like another way to do a podcast, except you're just not going to see me. You could see me. What would I look like? Well, I would look like this. My hair's kind of like that. I had two eyes and talking, and then I'd kind of be like this, and maybe holding up, like a martini glass. And there it is. Although I don't. It's not like we're drinking at work. We're not doing that. So we're not really that. But I always draw that character because it's fun. All right. So what's the deal with the trademarks? Trademarks. Well, everyone's worried about Amazon lately. Like, all of retail is freaking out about Amazon. It's like the rise of Amazon, even more so, than usual. Everyone's freaked out about Amazon, and it's just taking over a lot of things. And there was a post on Twitter, and I think I maybe retweeted it. I think I did, where Amazon went off and trademarked a bunch of new things, and they're all related to sort of different brands that they're getting into. And there was a lot of like cheesy kind of lingo that was kind of dropped. Like, you could tell they're getting into things anything related to like IoT, right? They're just getting into IoT, and then they're getting into everything beauty. This is a terrible pen. How that happened to me? I hate when I have terrible pens. But just basically here's the formula. Anything. So think retail plus consume plus fringe. All right, and divide that by possible future tech, and then divide that again by can be sold or packaged, and and all of that is for, say, this sort of you're 18 to 55, and then it's that's Amazon future. These guys are obsessed with that stuff. Just saying. So again, they traded a ton of stuff. What I mean is if it's in the retail space, it can be consumed. And they like fringe stuff, like Internet of Things. Again, if we took it back 5-10 years, people would be like, oh, I'm not really going to use that. But here it is now, right? We got Internet all around us. Internet of Things everywhere. Remember the ambient orb? Anyone remember that thing? You get an ambient orb, it's on your desk, and it would glow green. Green, it would tell you if the stock market was good or not. That was amazing. I think it was 7 years ago. And now, your freaking Echoes are doing it, right? Anyways, so I think that, plus it has to be possible in future tech. It has to have some sort of supporting foundation before it can really take off. And then, can it be packaged or sold? That's a big thing for Amazon. It has to be that. It has to be consumable thing. And then I think their demographic is really this age 18 to 55. And then, of course, it's Amazon future. So I don't know what they're going to do with all those trademarks. It's basically showing you that they're going to get into multiple spaces, beauty, internet things. Basically, anything they can get into, they're going to get into. That's what it means. But it's kind of cool to observe because it'd be nice to find the things that they're not getting into on that list, right? Like I didn't see a whole lot of stuff that was geared around, for example, lawn care. Well, maybe they're not going to get at lawn care. Why not? Maybe because lawn care is not as consumable, right? It's not. Can you buy lawn care on Amazon? No. You still have to go find somebody. So like the services are not really getting into, but anything that's a package that can be sold can be on there. It's just stuff I think about. Weird stuff. Weird, fun stuff I think about. So let's talk about the road, right? The road. This is that whole 33, the super smart way, right? They're doing this road. I don't know. They're just gonna make this road, and cars are gonna drive down the road, and the future supercar of tomorrow is gonna be just gonna be a guy driving it and all that kind of stuff. And it'd be super smart. Someone on the a couple of guys on the Slack channel were like, "How does this help? Columbus? How does this whole smart city stuff really help Columbus? How is this supposed to drive innovation for us? And how do we really get a benefit?" It's a question that comes up a lot, actually. Like, how do we get true benefit from this kind of stuff? And I think, I think right away you're not. I don't think that's the game. The game right now is to build, for lack of a better word, infrastructure. Infrastructure that sort of supports future thinking. That's really the name of the game, I think, right now. Because, we don't have a smart grid. We have a grid. We don't have a smart grid. We don't have sensors every 30 feet that can look at cars and tell us a story about those cars. We don't have a super smart station box that talks, to the signs, and then it talks to the cars, and then the cars talk to the other cars behind it or to the people inside. We don't have any of that. So we got to go build all these things to see what the future could be like. So if you smarten up this infrastructure, then it opens up a whole realm of possibilities, but you got to do that first. And I think that the other thing that people have to remember too, I think with Smart City is that probably the biggest thing I think with Smart City is that you define smart. Like you get the choice to define what Smart City is and isn't really. And you can do that two ways. As a citizen, you can basically say, it should be this, right? Or as a developer, you should say, it's this. I want to make that, right? Or if you're like in the business of real estate or something like that, you can say, it's this. And they build this crazy building that like gets up wherever the sun arrives. It's like, oh, it's always in the sun. It's a building that always moves itself into the sun. I don't know why, because we always want sunny people. I don't know. The thing is that there's opportunities in Smart City right now. Like if you're insanely curious and you have like a vision for what the future should look like should it be Minority Report? Like this is your moment. So like go build it. Now the other question you're always going to get, and I got this a lot when I worked at Ohio State, is that's sweet. Someone's going to pay me a bunch of money to make the future. Right? It's going to be awesome. Sign me up. I want to get paid. I want to get that stipend. Someone's going to give me a stipend. Someone's going to give me cash to sort of envision where the future is going to be. Thank you, Columbus, right? That's going to be awesome. Someone's going to pay me to make the future. And here's the reality. No one's going to pay you to make the future. So no, they're just not going to do it. They're not going to do it. Why? Because one, they don't have the money, right? They don't have the money. And you can say, wait a minute, they have like 500 million. Well, they don't really have 500 million. They probably have about 75 million in actual cash, and then the rest is all in kind. In kind is like the greatest subversive word ever created in our startup innovation culture future as we think about it, right? What does in kind mean? Does anyone know what in kind? Let's ask our studio audience. Anyone know? You? Jay? Anyone? What does that mean? In kind? And I put the question mark too low, but in kind means that it's like we'll support you. It's kind of like me hanging out and telling Joe DeLoss that I've been doing in-kind donations. Actually, that's not true. I've been giving him cash. In-kind is basically saying you're going to support, but you can't actually support with cash. So I support. What's an in-kind? What's a good? I think it's kind of like you're providing, expertise, or you're providing technology, or providing maybe your own resources, but it's in kind. It's in kind. It's not actual cash. So there's a lot of people who are waiting to get cash to do great things in innovation, Columbus, and Smart City, and all that, and you're not going to get cash. You'll get cash later on when the city actually decides. Here's the problem: when the city decides, what signs should go in and what sensors that should be in there and what kinds of cars should be. Yeah, you can still get that job. The only thing that sucks is that you've lost your opportunity to innovate on that job because you didn't have the insight. Someone else had the insight and came up with the idea, and you're just, getting a work order. So, and you might say, that's not so bad. I'll take the work order. But wouldn't it be cool to also be the person that actually comes up with what that could be? That's the cool part. Come up with the idea. All right. Still, it's a big idea. It's a big thing. And I think, Detroit is creating a huge sub city that's going to do this kind of stuff. Columbus has a bunch of cool projects. Route 33 is just one of them. It'll be interesting. Okay, so what else are we talking about? Oh, we're talking about the BandAid, the OSU's Electro BandAid. So this, they show this cool picture that shows skin, right? And there's the tissue here, and there's a skin there, and this is all the muscle matter, and then there's things that are damaged down here, right? I'm just drawing based on what I saw in the image. And so the sensor thing, this looks like an electronic bandage. It sits up here, and it sends electricity through your body, and basically it heals all this down here. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. It is. It's basically an electronic BandAid is what it is. This has been going on at OSU for a while. When I was at TCO, it was a pretty hot project, I thought. I just like this notion that you buy a pack of these strips and they they have a little thing in them, and they you slap them on your skin, and it basically irradiates electricity through your body and heals wounds faster. And of course, you had to get the public. Probably the first problem you got to do is you got to get the public on board with the fact that this can heal you, right? I don't think a lot of people think that this thing could heal you, right? That a 9-volt battery and some piece of super technology film will actually fix a wound, but it does. It sends all kinds of powerful waves through here, and it helps your body. And by the way, your body is basically electricity, which we should all know from the Matrix, right? Neo taught this, right? This is all foundational stuff that went into Neo, right? So really, the BandAid is connected to Neo, and Neo is connected to what? That's right, the Matrix. Which then makes you wonder, are you in the Matrix? And are we now actually creating the Matrix over again? Could be. I don't know. What's the, what was the last one on there? Apple's next move. Apple's next move. Let's get into that. What do we think Apple's next move is? Well, I personally felt like Apple's next move was revealed just a long time ago, actually, when the iPhone 6 came out, and it came out with 2 cameras. 2 cameras. And of course, they went on and on about how, it gets you a better depth of field pictures and whatever. But 2 cameras also allow you to see depth of field, which allow you to see basically perspective and see objects here and then objects over here, and then the computer can compute the stuff in between. Well, if you could do that, you could get into all the cool stuff like AR, and that's what they're doing now, which is cool. So the AR kit came out, and there's a lot of really cool things going on in the AR kit, the SDK, which always kind of makes me think about a lot of the early stuff, which is, I think you can see the future in SDKs. When you see Apple's SDK, root through it and look for these weird things it can do that they're not really promoting yet. I mean, there's not a big push for them to really push any AR stuff. In fact, they're doing it all on the fringe right now. They're just kind of they're staying quiet and they're letting people just kind of hack with it. You know what I mean? They're letting people hack with it, and that's a telling thing to me. That means that they're going to be doing some moves, right? and you're starting to see people make comparisons right now in two big things. Apple AR kit versus HoloLens. Now the HoloLens lenses. I think it's just HoloLens. I can't spell very well, but so this is Microsoft's play, and Microsoft has spent. They have spent a ton of money in PR to talk about HoloLens. Apple has spent next to zero on their AR capabilities, really. They're not gonna. They're not gonna because one, they don't actually have this physical piece of hardware like these guys have. That you put the thing on your head and your eyeballs there, and you're talking, and you're like, check me out, and I can see this thing floating in space in front of me, right? They don't have that yet, but it's coming. It's coming. What if you knew that you were, what if we knew we were 18 months away from this being basically this? It's going to change everything. Is it? It could. It stands to reason that it could. Let's go on this side. Wall that off. Not thinking about it anymore. But, is it going to be glasses? I think it could be glasses. Maybe contact lenses. Ooh. Well, a contact lens has already been patented on this space. And I'm sure there's going to be plays in that. But that's probably not going to happen until this happens first. And glasses, problem with glasses is it's a whole nother hardware, component. Hardware, a whole nother piece of hardware is a whole bunch of money just to get people just to accept the thing in the first place. And then it's a whole nother thing to actually, really make it go, and then it's a whole nother thing to make it go with apps and that kind of stuff. And then you need if you're doing an Apple, you need accessories, right? Their whole business is crazy accessories. So this would be a big whole new category launch, and you're talking about a bigger category launch than like an iMac and bigger than freaking Apple TV. And in a lot of ways, it has to be as big as the iPhone all over again. It has to be that big. Now, they're sitting on, what, $1 trillion? So it's probably not a big deal, is it? But will it be glasses? I just don't know if it'll be glasses. I don't know. And if it is glasses, it's probably 2 years away. Just because I just don't think it's ready yet. I mean, we just got the AR kit now. We're just trying to figure out how to make it really work. I don't think it's going to be glasses. It's going to be something in between. It could be kind of like, it could be sort of like the headset type thing. You got the person there, here's their nose, like that. It could be something more headset-y, and it's that. But now that's the problem with this is that's heavy, and they're definitely going to go AR. They're not going to go VR yet. I'm not seeing. VR is a whole nother thing, and Facebook, so Facebook is really pushing VR. Facebook over the next 18 months is only going to be making more noise over VR. They're making huge strides for that. I don't think it's going to be them. Apple's going to do something else. I don't know what it is, but we know it's going to be something AR driven. And they're going to be thinking, how do they get the major brands on board? How do they show it really making a difference in a broader spectrum? It's not just about building apps for fun and gimmicks. We're not going to be getting into this gimmick where it has to have a bigger angle. It has to have a bigger play. I think glasses is definitely part of it. I just don't know if they're going to break out a whole nother consumer product. Maybe, maybe are we running out of paper? No, we haven't. Here we go. Maybe it's glass. Maybe it's just AR glass. What would you do with AR glass? What would you do with AR glass? Well, you could make a monitor like this. When was the last time you saw AR like this? Right? Can anyone say? Huge points. If you can remember a time where you saw an AR monitor. Anyone? AR monitor. This terrible pen I'm using again. I'm going to use that pen again. AR monitor. Huge points to the crowd that comes up with that. Anyone come up with that yet? No? I'll tell you. Paycheck. Yeah, I know. Not one of the greatest movies, but again, it was the first thing he did in the movie was basically re-engineer that screen, and then he made it floating, right? So they had this really cool, super thin screen that did all this stuff. And what did Affleck do? He made it the same thing. Here's the computer, and it was just like, yeah, he did like a hologram version. That was all 3D and everything, but you could see Apple doing glass. I don't know. An AR monitor. That's one thing you could make. What else could we make with AR glass? We could definitely do glasses. AR glasses. I have another show you should watch. Okay, so this is Paycheck. Again, not a terrible movie. Not the greatest, but not a terrible movie. Another show you should watch for AR glasses. Dental Coil. Dental Coil. Yes, that's right. That's anime. But Dental Coil, it will tell you exactly where AR Future should be. It's one of the best shows. I was obsessed with this show 10, 15 years ago when I first saw it. Probably longer than that. Yeah, and to me it all speaks to a bigger concept in AR that I call the layer. The layer is it's basically like a new internet. Yeah, kind of Silicon Valley, I sure did. Yeah, I know, but it's kind of basically, layer is basically everything at the sort of geolocation level, plus everything sort of at the, I guess the grid or sort of tech level, and plus everything on the net level, and then it's kind of mixed with like the sensor level, and then it's kind of like the serendipity thing, which you kind of see now. Like people are playing in serendipity. I'll explain that. People are playing in the sensor level. You know, internet level obviously is done. The geo level is largely known. But you know what's interesting? It's getting fragmented again. Things are getting kind of fragmented again. Like when you think of geo, we think of Google. Well, it's not just Google doing geo anymore. It's like there's other players doing geo. And the grid, this is a little bit different. Grid is kind of like the smart cities side of things. It's not quite there yet. But the internet side of the layer is done. That's just people online and, you know, bigger things. The sensor side is kind of growing, but it's very small. Like if you're thinking about internet sensors on a spectrum like this, with like ultimate sensors here, right, we're like probably like freaking here. Sensor, that's what you're thinking about sensor tech. If you're thinking about the serendipity, what I mean by serendipity, I guess it's kind of like the nuance of cool experiences. Like, can it be playful yet? Can the creativity be applied to the stack and create, you know, sort of really cool, whimsical, fun experiences? And we're probably right there too. So like right now you can hold up an app and turn on AR and a little character will walk around the screen, but it's kind of limited. Like we don't have free roaming characters. Of course, the net gives us the AI, combine the AI with a whole lot of creativity in this, and you probably get closer to full autonomously crazy creatures that run around in a layer-like existence that you can only see through AR glass. You can see it. The net side of things is like, okay, how connected are you on the internet and like how strong that is? That's probably right about here. It's pretty strong. A lot of stuff going on. The grid, in terms of like how well enabled is the grid, it's like here. And the geo level, well, the perception of the geo level is here, right? Because we have all these, everything's kind of connected to geolocational stuff. Well, that's up for disruption, I think. Anyways, the layer, it's one of my favorite concepts. I need to get back to it. For a while there was actually early companies, probably about 10, 12 years ago, that were making strides on this layer concept. A lot of them are coming out of Belgium at the time. I was kind of envious of those freaking Europeans. They tend to leap sooner. I don't know. I can say they're more accessible to recreational drugs. I don't think that's true, but they tend to leap sometimes. And then the U.S. we got to catch up. Anyways. So I don't know. They could be just making a pair of, you know, glasses just like Snapchat did. There they are, and they have the camera, and then we can see. I just doubt it's that. It's the easiest thing to see, and that's the reason why I don't like it. That's a key point. Sometimes the easiest thing to see is the most unlikely. Do I really believe that? Yeah, I kind of do sometimes. It's too obvious. Then again, good old Steve Jobs, you know, he still exists, by the way. Faked his death. I don't know, he didn't really fake his death, but again, he laid down the foundation for things to see. He could surprise us. Or Elon, who's basically the new, you know, Steve Jobs. Anyways, thanks for watching, folks. Again, this was, I don't know, this was what, August? This is August 7th, 2017. This is episode 1. And that's with Big Kitty Labs. You can find us online at bigkittylabs.com. Give us a ramble. See what we can do for you.